At Omenana Defenders Shabbat service yesterday, one of our brothers stated in plain language that, but for my temperament, that the condition of the Igbos will be much worse than it is presently. I need to elaborate a little bit. I had earlier on said that I have a problem with my temper and that I always appeal to Lord God Chiuku to do something about it. Towards the end of the service, Madu Abuchi said that my temper should even be hotter than it is, that but for this temper of mine, that I'm asking God to do something about, that the Igbo condition will be much worse than it is. I don't take credit for anything. Whatever I've done by the grace of God. But I'm also, as human, I'm humbled and I'm happy that some Igbos acknowledge that what I'm doing is essentially this noble, potentially great ethnic group with extremely luminous ancestors will survive. I'm even thinking of survival. I'm even worried about the survival of the Igbos. I'm not talking about their greatness. Move to every part of what you call Igbo land today, you are not going to find their first or second 11s there. Their first and second 11s have scattered all over the world as exiles. I refer to them as exiles because they are scared of going home. The Jewish exile ended when the state of Israel rose, became successful. So the Jew in New Zealand can always go to Israel. In fact, I know friends who left the United States, moved to Israel, and they are living very good lives. I don't know that Igbo that would relocate to Igbo land. In fact, Igbos that left the United States, went to Igbo land to serve as governors, fled the very first day after their tenures ended. They fled away from Igbo land and returned to Texas. So the Igbos are essentially an exiled people. But again, 99.9% of Igbos don't know what I'm talking about. So yesterday, I made a statement which is based on facts. The Igbo people assimilated the word Amadioha, the idea of Amadioha. They assimilated it, some Igbos. I am from the part of Igbo land called Anambra. There are essentially 6 to 7 subdivisions of what we will call Igbo land. When I made this post that this something is a deity was assimilated from the Ijaw. One guy who has never publicly admitted that he's Igbo, he's from Ikwere, but he so detests the identity that he has never for once mentioned that he's Igbo, flew in and began to argue baselessly that the Igbos that has absorbed the idea that thunder, lightning could be a god. He began to argue needlessly that they did not absorb the idea from outside. But I know where he's coming from. I know where he's coming from. Apart from, and let me make it very clear now, in order to obey, to listen, to hearken to the advice of some people that mean well for the Igbos, who have recognized that what I'm doing now are things that Igbos will use to survive when they wake up. Apart from that being called Chiuku, everything that you see human beings addressing as gods or deities, we are the inventions of humans. All the gods you hear about, Amadioha, Igwekala, Shango, Ogun, Zeus, Jupiter, where human beings did not take a piece of wood, carve it and turn it into a god. They simply looked at ideas they could not understand, like thunder, lightning, the water, and convinced themselves that these were gods. I have been in the United States for 9 years. Why do you not find the Americans who believe there are gods under every tree? Because they can understand and explain nature. They have the education today to understand that if there is a tsunami, it is simply because an earthquake in the middle of the ocean had a volcano. But ancient man did not have the understanding to understand some of these things. So if a tsunami occurred, the ancient man will think that forces beyond his understanding caused the waters to rush onto the land. And because most of ancient man did not have acquaintance with that true God, I have no apologies for saying that Chukwu, the God of Israel, is the only true God. I have no apologies for saying it. And I find every religion in the world coming close to acknowledge the existence of a supreme being. And that is the God of Israel. That is Chukwu, the God of the Igbos. Every other thing, man made them. So, even if the Igbos did not borrow the idea that thunder and lightning could be gods, and in fact they borrowed it, and I can prove that they borrowed the idea, all those people arguing with me, probably they are too young, not in age, because I don't see anybody that is not middle-aged among those that are arguing, should know that before Christianity came in, the Igbos had declared Arose Pakaria Ike. I will restate this in English. The forebears of these clowns has stated publicly that if Arose, these people presenting arguments have made up their minds that Arose means gods or deity, that if they become a nuisance, the Igbo people will tell them the wood they were carved from. So many things arise from this simple statement. If their ancestors actually saw these things as deities, they wouldn't call them. They wouldn't tell them that if you become a nuisance, I deal with you. The contemporary ones who believe in Amadioha see Amadioha as a deity. So contrast and compare their beliefs and that of their ancestors. If their ancestors were people who revered deities, they wouldn't tell what these contemporary was view as gods. They wouldn't do that. By the way, every group in the world, every individual can become an idolater. But the Igbos only become idolaters when they ran into other religions, which diluted their own religion. Their own religion is a religion which abhorred kings, and as you have heard me say, also did not think that what the contemporary Igbo calls God should threaten him. That's why he said, Arose Pakaria Ike, Agwayan Kweju Epia. So it's obvious that any fealty you see them giving, any obeisance you see them giving to any being besides Chukwu, they got the idea that they could do that because they interacted with other religions, which changed them. I studied religion at the highest level with the best scholars in the world, and I think I understand it. I know that I understand it. Besides Chukwu, that is the God of Israel, every other thing you see circulating, we are either made by man or man interpreted them to become gods or deities to himself. People see the sea, they believe this water is so large. I'm talking about ancient times. and in contemporary times, the undeveloped parts of the world. They look at the sea, they look at the ocean, they say, there is a God inside. There is a Latin American country which has been bedeviled by bad leadership. I was shocked when the president of this country said that when the country went down, became extremely violent, that some citizens of the country became exactly what I'm seeing in Nigeria. People that believe that if you sacrifice a human being, you have some extra powers. That they began to see. He called it Satan worship. Why don't you find people engaged in this in America, Japan, South Korea, Western Europe, Israel, white South Africa? Let us call a spade a spade. Because they have used their brains, they have gotten out of the grasp of what keeps people down. Environment forced them. Harsh climatic conditions forced them to use their brains, and they can solve life's basic problems, understand natural phenomena, live good lives, so they are not looking for that spirit that causes that causes malaria. They are no longer looking for that. Instead of killing the cat that passed by their window in the night, they turn the cat into a friend. But in Nigeria and in Igbo land, sadly, I have to include Igbo land so that Igbos will know where they got to. If a black cat whined in the night, meowed in the night, that's a god or a spirit. And it's a pity. Thank you.